Welcome to BrotoGP. This is episode number 108. We're coming at you after the title deciding Japanese round at Motegi. And of course, you already know what happened. I kind of just ruined it for you if you haven't seen the race. But go watch the race. It was actually pretty exciting. Something surprising happened towards the end. There was at least one surprise podium. But let's get moving on this one. How you doing, Kev?
What's up, Rob?
I feel like you're kind of loungy today.
What's up, Dennis?
Oh, I feel like I'm third wheeling after that intro.
I'm a little loungy, I have to say. I seem to have reignited the pincher from my back, so I took some muscle relaxers, and I'm pretty deep into some red wine, and I'm feeling good. I feel real good.
So we're going to keep this one a little light today,
I'm
then.
feeling like some truth bombs are going to get dropped. Like I don't have, like there's no filter. Like inhibitions are dropped away. Are dropped away.
Uninhibited, Kev.
If you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice this amazing poster behind Kevin's head. Would you like to tell us about that?
Correct. So not only is it the title deciding round, but it is October 23rd, 2018. That means it is the 7-year anniversary of the terrible and untimely and tragic death of Mr. Marco Simoncelli. This is a copy of Moto Sprint from Italy, October 2011, that I have saved diligently this entire time. It was a gift from someone who was in Italy when it happened. And the poster that you see above me currently, let's see, there we go, is a picture of him that was a poster inside of the magazine. So not going to bring down the whole episode with it. We could probably do a whole Marco Simoncelli episode. In fact, I've wanted to for some time. I think it would be pretty rad. All I have to say is the dude was the Jim Morrison of racing. He left us far too soon, but he left a heck of a legacy. 7 years on, my Instagram is still completely flooded with Marco Simoncelli pictures, top to bottom, left and right. So for a guy who actually didn't have tremendous success in GP, he certainly seemed to have touched a lot of people. And I suppose in the end of the day, making people's lives better and happier is even more successful than winning numerous MotoGP championships. That being said, a guy did win numerous MotoGP championships, and in the process, stole our idea. That motherfucker. We'll cover that later.
Right as you said that, the HRC like 8-bit photo of all his results and wins and titles and stuff like totally popped up. Oh man, I mean, obviously, yeah, we're gonna get to Marc Marquez's title celebration in a little bit. Before we do that,
actually introduce everything. Let's see. I believe Rob is currently above me wearing his Josh Heron hat, and we also are trying to decide pre-recording whether he should be Wayne from Wayne's World for Halloween or Pocahontas. I vote for Brocahontas.
Brocahontas.
That's my vote.
I think I could pull that one off.
And I will go wearing my own shirt, because the shirt that we have, you'll notice 7 steps right here, because I'm going as Bro Stradamus for fucking predicting the future.
Well, the staircase ends at 7 steps, so that could be
Clark
good
Kent,
for the title.
because this is just what I look like in my day-to-day life, like Clark Kent. So I will go as Clark Kent, or also as Kevin.
One of the two.
Yes.
Wait, which one's the alter ego?
Right. That's the question. Superman is who he actually was. Clark Kent was his alter ego.
Yeah, Kev's not even going to answer for himself. Dennis, what are you going to be for Halloween?
Broke dad. Fucking childcare, man. It's finally catching up to me.
Boom.
Yeah. Paid childcare. It's horrible.
Yeah, shout out to Dennis's new business of finding people used motorcycles. So someone
asked Colin Edwards what he thinks about maternity leave or paternity leave for men. Quick, now ask him.
No, don't do it. No, don't do it. Shout out to the fan that purchased me this Josh Heron hat, by the way. Thank you so much. You know who
Just
you are.
you? He didn't buy one for everybody?
That motherfucker.
If you would have showed up to Alabama, maybe he would have bought you one too. You guys had invites and passes.
That's true.
We even had a cool Airbnb for everyone.
Son of a bitch.
What was I doing? I forgot. Something came up, so I don't even remember.
Broke dad came up apparently.
Oh yeah.
Right.
There he
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Real fucking life came up. Son of a bitch.
One more
It is
year.
the
One
op-
more year.
Yeah, right. One more year of until you don't have kids anymore.
Until my youngest goes to school, so it's only gonna be part-time childcare.
Oh yeah, big steps there. Wow.
That's right.
Not unlike those 7 steps up to the 7th
Oh,
title.
man, you guys are so bitter. You are so bitter about that shit.
No, before we get into all that, if you ever find yourself injured along the side of the road in a motorcycle accident,
Or
do you know who
plagiarized.
you should call?
If you get off your motorcycle and your friend hits you in the back and dislocates your shoulder, he's not actually your friend, and you want to sue for damages, you're going to call Cy from Writer's Law with a Z. That's Writer's Law with a Z. What is it, .com or Facebook or
Yeah,
Instagram?
writerslaw.com. Check out the
Writerslaw.com.
Facebook. Check out the Instagram. It is approaching it's now almost the racing season off season. It is also almost the riding season off season. But we know that a bunch of you are still going to be riding in the wet. You're still going to be riding in the dark. Things are going to be dangerous. If you need legal help, please give Writers Law a call. They will have you back. They will have your back. I actually got one of my buddies today that I used to race with. He hit me up today and was like, "Hey, you know, I'm still recovering from my injuries, but Writers Law is taking care of me, so I have peace of mind for that." And he wanted to talk about racing again. So, you know, Writers Law can take care of things, and they can try and make you as whole as possible. And of course, I think like we've said this before, they do not charge you in any way. They only make any money if you recover money. So, and they will definitely help you out. I mean, even this is a little close to home for me, but my dad actually just was in a car accident, and
Dang.
I had Writers Law reach out to him, and they're going to help him out if he needs it. So he went to the doctor, and thankfully everything is all good. But yeah, dude, semi-truck like made it onto the wrong side of the road.
If it's good enough for the loins from which the perfection that is Robert Pierce sprung forth, I guarantee, and that was the exact sound that was made when Robert sprung forth from the loins.
Horrible. I can't believe you caught that.
That I can guarantee you it's good enough for your loser ass who crashed his bike in the rain and the wet because he didn't have the skills that he would have learned on Rob and Dennis's track tape,
Boom.
tech tape. that he
Ooh,
would have
wow.
learned.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, no.
Boom.
Oh man, if we could get Dennis to race in the rain, oh, that would be so amazing. Dennis, you got to mount up some rain tires one of these days.
I don't think AFM races in the rain, FYI.
No, they don't. They have like a brick, and if like 4 drops fall onto the brick, they call it.
Voila.
Bitches.
I'm not joking in any way.
So
I'm pretty sure
stupid.
that's the rule.
Matt Mladen had one of the best points about rain racing ever. Was it's never if it's too unsafe to race in the rain, you can't race in the dry because in the dry we're going twice as fast.
Yeah, pretty much.
You literally said that about fucking Sears Point, about Sonoma
Ooh.
Raceway. Yeah, we can race there because if we can race in the dry, we're going twice as fast.
Ugh. The only problem is that the grass is even more slippery in the wet, so you make it further towards the wall. That's the only difference. But whatever. No, let's talk about some motorcycle racing now. I don't have any videos for you this time, but I've got the slideshow going on YouTube.
Right. The reason we don't have any videos is because Dorna copyright claimed us for promoting their product free of charge. And what they did afterwards was steal everything that we ever put our heart and souls into.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kev's not wrong on that one.
Right.
We made a whole like $1.34 off of showing small clips of their videos, which they were unhappy about.
Well,
but
I mean,
whatever.
No good deed goes unpunished, guys. Come on.
It's true. We will fly under the radar for just a little bit, and then I will bring back like 10-second clips because I'm pretty sure that falls under fair use law, and they can't ding us for that one. It's just, can't do full screen 55-second clips, which is what I attempted last time. So I apologize for everyone that watched on the previous YouTube videos and just got to see 9-inch nails covers. Is that what it was? Yeah.
The video for Closer One of Nine Inch Nails' greatest songs, which I Want to Fuck You Like an Animal, is repeatedly played over and over and over again.
Perfect. No, so the MotoGP race was actually pretty exciting. Thankfully, this is the Michelin era, and we had a kind of a build up to the last couple of laps. And Dovizioso was leading for quite a while, and Marc Marquez got by, and then Dovi made a mistake that I'm sad to say we've actually seen from him too many times this season.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis, how do you feel about that? You don't expect this from your boy, Dovi.
No, I mean, and at no time during that race did I expect he was going to make a mistake. I mean, we kind of all knew that Marquez was going to wrap it up this round, or at least I did anyway. And I'm pretty sure Dovizioso, as much as he tried to delay it, he wasn't going to do anything rash or do anything foolish. But it seemed like that mistake came out of nowhere for me. Like, he's done, those two have been at it before, so it's not like this is the first time battling with Marquez that he would lose his cool per se during the race. But I just don't know. I don't know what happened there. It's like I was rooting for him to take it to Marquez, even though it seemed inevitable that Marquez was going to win anyway.
Well, and we had that build up too from qualifying and all the practice sessions. Like Dovizioso had the pace to take it to Marquez and to win this damn race, and then he pulls an anti-Dovi move.
Right.
Kev, what do you got?
All I was going to say was that Dennis knew, and so did everyone else that was involved in fabricating the elaborate, totally not staged, totally not Dorna-funded stealing of our idea to celebrate at the end of this race.
Yeah, because
bro,
they can't.
it's
Motegi,
definitely HRC's backyard.
No one knew that he was going to win the title except the guy who built the entire giant Excite Bike road rash arcade machine and plugged it directly into Dorna's feed and knew exactly how to overlay the image from that feed onto Marc Marquez playing the game and play it live for all of us. Definitely didn't.
So what you're saying is they had a button, right? They had a button at Ducati's garage that just made Dovizioso dump the bike. Like, boom, done.
Bitch, of course they did. They map hated him. It's not even a secret.
They do have spec ECU. The Dorna has like full control over that software now. No, it was the same button that they used to get Jorge's like engine braking to fail.
Dorna has full control.
2 rounds
title of
ago.
my life tape.
Oh, that's so depressing.
I know it is. Jesus.
Almost as depressing as the size of this bottle and the fact that it's empty.
Wait. There's no way you drank that whole bottle with muscle relaxers today.
Bitch, Kyle Wyman said that he was gonna drink more beers than me if Jack Miller won, and I said I would drink his entire weight in wine because that's what I do on a daily. The guy, his entire handsome weight, I swear to God, it's like 120 pounds of just pure good lookingness.
Kev thinks that all motorcycle racers that are smaller than him are 120 pounds.
This is correct. Rob, how much do you currently weigh?
137.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
What do you think? I'm going higher than normal or lower?
I think you're a clean 126.
I haven't been 126 for like 6 years.
I just want to point out Rob's like 30. So he's not talking about he hasn't been 126 since he was like 14.
I'll be 33 in a month, actually.
Son of a bitch. Right.
Yeah, that's true. It took me a while to gain weight after high school. I had to get that desk job. That really put me up there. No, I mean, okay, we don't have much to talk about the race. We'll get to whatever. Let's go into some surprise podiums then
here's the thing about the crash, right? So they're going Marquez, Dovi crashes out and they instantly go with Marquez forced the error and he crashed out. Yeah, Dovi's had crashes this season. You said it's an anti-Dovi move. I'm not so sure. The guy has had more mistakes than usual this season. I couldn't say now that it's the pressure of fighting for the title because there really was no pressure on him for that title. I just
agreed.
I wonder if now that he's kind of in the he had all of the wins against Marquez in like last lap battles, last turns, and Marquez has been able to kind of flip the script on him. And follow him later or get out and then make a pass, get out in front, take a tiny little gap before. So I just wonder if Dovi's trying to keep pace because he knows that Marquez has kind of changed the tactic on how to battle him because, Dovi was winning that tactical battle for a while. The Marquez has changed his tactics, and now he's winning, multiple times on these sort of end of race battles.
And you know
Well,
what? That's
isn't it?
actually
It's still 3-1, right?
right. No,
Marquez only has one of them.
Well, now
3-2,
two,
right?
I would say
Yeah,
3-2 now.
Yeah. I mean,
But I was going to
close.
say the depressing thing for me about the Vizioso crashing this time out isn't actually him crashing out. It's just a reminder to me that Mark, for as young as he is and as accomplished as he is, he's still learning to be a better rider, racer with the racecraft. And I personally think the worst thing to happen to the grid is Marquez battling the Vizioso this whole time and learning from such a cool cat like the Vizioso, because now he's got that in his repertoire. I mean, he was already hard enough to beat with a natural talent, but now he's got that patience, got that know-how to follow somebody, pick out what their weaknesses are, and then pick the right time to actually pounce on them. He's going to go down as the greatest of all time on paper.
Yeah, the only thing stopping him from going down as the greatest of all time at this point is whether Scott Redding can continue to dislocate his shoulder at less opportune times.
Bro, he just needs like 60 seconds on the ground for somebody to pop it back in, and then he's done.
Yeah, but every time you pop it out, it's a little easier. And every time, you saw it in the press conference, he was rubbing and fucking with his shoulder like, kind of like an old man, just kind of mess with it. And it was dislocated. I mean, he has all the tools, and the kind of drag part about it right now is I don't mind that he wins, and I mean I kind of do, I suppose, but the idea that his only actual threat the past couple of years is Dovi. Jorge was nowhere to be found last year. This year, the Yamahas are basically nowhere to be found. It's like someone said on a forum that I was reading today that this is the most competitive grid ever. They were kind of comparing the mid 90s. I don't agree, because although the tires and the spec ECU, his main competition is Andrea Dovizioso, who never won a middle class title until last year, was never any kind of consistent threat. He's got an over the hill Rossi, who clearly seems to have lost kind of the eye of the tiger. Even Carlo Pernat said that. And a Yamaha that kind of sucks. And the other thing that
Carlo Pernat.
In this case, he's right. But the thing that sucks for me, I suppose I see all of the people that would be who would challenge him, like traditionally, right? Like all of the hot up and comers, they're all going to shit bikes. You see Zarco is, who was a two-time champion, who kind of fostered and was in the learning process and showing flashes of brilliance, get held back by Yamaha being in the dumps, and then moving to KTM. You see Oliveira moving to a satellite KTM. You see Pecco Bagnaia moving to a satellite Ducati. Like, there's this is why I harp so hard. Like, they got to get rid of the Petrucci contract, nullify it, buy it out, get out of that clause, because contracts don't mean shit, right? They got to put Pecco on the factory bike, because right now any of the top tier talent that we see are going to subpar bikes comparatively.
Well, and it's not just that; it's also the existing talent has been struggling.
Yes,
right?
the only top tier talent that we saw move to a factory bike capable of taking it to a Repsol Honda was Maverick, and we saw him do it right away on the Yamaha, and then whatever happened to them happened, and they have been done since.
Right.
We were talking about, holy shit, he won 3 of the first 5 races. He looked untouchable, and then all this stuff happened, and then what do you see? You see Pecco. I mean, Oliveira's a monster. Look at how well he comes to the field so many times. Look at his racecraft is impeccable already. He has that eye of the tiger, the ish. He has the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like Dennis knows he plays he practices Muay Thai and stuff, right? Like, some people have the dog in them and some don't, right? Oliveira's got the dog in him, and he's going to a satellite KTM. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like Pecco is going.
We've talked about that narrative before, right? There are only so many spots on the grid for talent, right? And at some point you have to bring in the talent on lesser machines and hope they move up at some point. It's just we're doing it again, and the problem is we're disappointed by.
But who's the last talent? Who's the last talent who was brought up on a lesser machine that actually made that transition? Because Jorge Lorenzo was right. Jorge Lorenzo was brought direct. Mark Marquez was brought direct.
Yeah.
Danny Pedrosa was brought direct. Casey Stoner is the last one who was brought on their team and switched within a year to a high-end factory team that was capable of winning and fighting for titles, right, with Ducati. Ducati was good in 2006. They won multiple races with multiple riders. You look at none of these other it is not the correct way to come to MotoGP on a satellite team and then come up. It's not the right way.
Let me ask you guys something, bringing it back real quickly to Maverick. Whether or not Yamaha fixes the M1 finally, so whether he stays on the Yamaha after it's fixed or he goes to a different, more competitive bike, do you think that after a season and a half of floundering, would that affect his ability to win?
Right.
What do you mean season and a half? It's going to be
at least a season and a half.
Well, it's going to be 3.5 by the time he decides to move.
Look what happened to Jorge. Jorge is a 3-time champ who was the only guy actually to beat Marquez for a title straight up. People forget that. He beat Marquez straight up for the title. He handled him.
Yeah.
He had one bad year, and Suzuki didn't want him. And they took Joan Mir with one podium instead. Right? What the fuck is going to happen to Maverick? And look, Yamaha and Rossi will ride till he retires, and he'll instantly have a team on the grid full of his proteges. But what the hell is going to happen to Maverick if he can't turn it around? Where's he going to go? Because right now, at this point, everyone's just looking for lightning in a bottle. Everyone's looking that's what it started with Jack Miller. They're looking for lightning in a bottle. They're trying to move people up too fast. They're trying to catch that ish. They're trying to catch their LeBron, right? Or they're trying to catch their Kobe, 18 years old.
They're trying to catch the Marquez, and the chances of people getting lucky are not great, but that's why it's such a risk.
Right, but the answer to catching a Marquez isn't that.
Put it on a shit bike.
Right, well, or just hoping that a really good kid takes advantage of your machine. Because here's the thing. In 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, a young hotshot rider who changed the game, Valentino Rossi at the time, was considered unbeatable. You couldn't do anything about it. But what Honda decided, they were going to go for the rider, right? And they picked Danny Pedrosa, which never worked out. But what did Ducati do? In 2004 and 5, they switched to Bridgestones. They decided they knew they could never beat Valentino on the same tires. So they decided a long-term game investment. And this is not even hyperbole or me making this up. This is on the record statements of what they said. Why are you laughing?
I like you have to warn people that you're not making things up.
Right. I'm not totally bullshitting you right now. This is real stuff.
Well, yeah, so just to continue your point there.
My point being, go ahead.
Well, that's not possible anymore, right? Manufacturers can't make huge jumps anymore and take risks like that because we have single tire and we have spec ECU.
And you can't even invest in dope aerodynamics to try to get ahead because they got rid of that shit too.
Yeah, I mean, they got rid of it a little bit. I'm gonna bring up the rule book later.
It's done next year, but but my point being is you can't just have a shitty bike and hope a rider it takes care of it for you. You have to have solid high end bike to do that. But they're all just looking for the phenom and crapshoot. They're throwing darts at the wall at kids who show promise to see what happens. And my original point is all of these talented up and comers are moving to less than stellar bikes.
It's a weird risk.
It's locking him into most well-funded bike. He's clearly the most naturally talented rider on the grid, no doubt about it. And he's being locked into the most well-funded bike on the grid, fully behind him. And what did they just do? The only rival of his they actually have to worry about, they locked up.
Just sticking at Ducati.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only guy they know on the grid that can beat him straight up, there's only one person in MotoGP that we know can beat Marc Marquez for a title. One guy, Jorge Lorenzo, and Honda snatched him up. Ducati, Dovi
It's such a good ploy. It's such a good ploy by them.
Yeah, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
God damn it. Don't depress me like this, Kev. It's terrible.
Right. You want to hear what's depressing was our boy pointed out on the BrotoGP Facebook Army page is that he is going to win his 9th title the year Rossi retires 2 years from now.
You think so?
Yep.
I believe it.
Yep.
Even
I don't think
with
he's going to lose.
Jorge at Honda.
Nope.
No.
I mean, okay, so let's if you had to pick who the number 2 title challenger for next year was, are you going to pick Dovi or are you going to pick Jorge?
What you say, Dovi, number 2 title challenger, like Rossi is at 9 points behind him with 3 races left while Dovi keeps crashing out. Valentino's going to be number 2 this year, straight up calling it. He is going to be number 2 with no wins.
This year?
He's 9 points behind Dovi right now. 9. Dovi's crashing left and right.
Listen. To answer your question for next season, I'm gonna pick Jorge, not Dovizioso.
I think I would also pick Jorge.
Yeah.
I think he's learned enough from the Ducati and from learning how to ride a bike differently that switching back to the Honda is going to be an easy move for him.
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like if we put the bikes on a spectrum, we're going to put the Yamaha on one end and the Ducati on the other, and the Honda's going to be in the middle. So Jorge just needs to go back towards what he knew a year and a half ago. It'll be 2 years ago at that time. I don't think it's going to be the more I see him ride, even though I guess we haven't really seen him ride, which is quite unfortunate.
Because his toe is fucked up.
Yeah, that wasn't even the big thing. So let's talk about Jorge for a little bit here. We'll get to the podium a little bit later. So Jorge did 1 lap. I think he did 2 outlaps this weekend and then called it a day. And I guess the thing that we're worried about right now is he has a broken bone in either his hand or his wrist, in his left hand or wrist, and he is ruled out for Sepang, or for Phillip Island. I'm sorry, and he might come back for Sepang. Are you so I guess the main story that everyone has been wondering about is why Jack Miller is not riding the factory Ducati at Phillip Island because he's Australian, and why Alvaro Bautista is riding it. And I actually don't really have an answer. Do you have a conspiracy theory there, Kev, about that one? Can you channel your inner Everett?
Yeah. I mean, he's hella Spanish. You could always go back to he's hella Spanish, right? Like, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's the gift for signing up to be the factory rider in World Superbike next year, and leaving the paddock to go to World Superbike and do that. Because I'm sure that Bautista could have gone on a road for Avintia or gone on a road for a couple other teams for sure. So that my actual guess is it's just kind of like throwing him a bone because of it. I think
like
Bautista's
parachute, basically.
Yeah, golden parachute, right? Yeah, he's got his gold watch, exactly. Like I think Bautista's chronically underrated. He's never really had the best bike, but he's done pretty darn well what the bikes that he's had. He did pretty good at Gresini, especially when he rode that Showa suspension.
And being on the Showa suspension with the Nissan brakes, right?
The
only guy on the grid.
The only guy on the grid to ride that. But yeah, I think it's more, people say the rules, but I think Rob admitted he couldn't find any specific rule that would state it other than that the GPC can decide not to allow it. I think that was throwing him a bone.
I got that one right here. So after Mazzano, the Grand Prix Commission, the GPC decided that they were worried, and I could read the whole thing. Concern has been expressed that MotoGP class teams could manipulate the current regulation to switch machines within the same team or with another team, and perhaps help a rider who was close to exceeding his engine allocation. Because there are so many possible scenarios that regulations will be modified so that a substitute or replacement rider cannot be a rider currently contracted to the championship. Wait, did I skip a line there? No. So effectively, they're saying that a substitute or replacement rider cannot be a rider that is contracted to an existing team or an existing contracted rider, because we also have that definition. A contracted rider is someone that is contracted for the entire season. Substitute or replacement are outside of that. They're essentially saying that neither Jack Miller nor Alvaro Bautista can replace Jorge Lorenzo unless the GPC approves. So I think that the GPC looked at the situation and they saw Pramac, who is, very, very close ties with factory Ducati, with the fact that, Jack Miller's not on the same bike as Jorge Lorenzo, but he is he's on the older model, and Petrucci is currently on the same bike as Jorge Lorenzo. They looked at that situation, they said, no, Jack, you can't do it, and they approved Alvaro Bautista instead. That's all that I think it was.
And just so I'm clear, this GPC approval is a new thing, right? It hasn't
Yeah,
always
so
been
this
in place.
Yeah, this was kind of this and one other stipulation that another organization has to approve was put in place kind of just before and just after that whole debacle with Cal Crutchlow and other people, and Jack Miller bitching about what's his face. Who was the super slow replacement rider? The French guy.
The French guy. Yeah. Forgot already.
Terrible. I can't remember his name. There were changes. Yes, exactly. There were changes surrounding substitute and replacement riders.
I will never forget
because of that.
The fucking replacement rider for Australia, though, Mike Jones, dog.
He's coming back. He's replacing Alvaro Bautista.
I think the real reason that they put Bautista in is because, like, Jack Miller would make too much sense. Put him on a bike that he's going to ride next year, let him get some time at his home race, go fast, do well. But the real reason is Ducati doesn't give two shits about Jack Miller, and they never had. And all the people who think they give a fuck about Jack Miller and think he should have got the ride over Petrucci, or think that he's going to get more support than Pecco next year, are deluding themselves. They've never given a fuck about Jack Miller. They don't give a fuck about Jack Miller. And Jack Miller isn't as good as all the people wish that he was. He's a mid-card rider in MotoGP.
He's actually not riding that motorcycle next year because he is getting Pramax factory or like up-to-date factory bike next year. And Pecco's not.
I bet you even believe what you just said.
You think, okay, so it's for sure going to start out the season like that. Should we have a bet? Like, how many rounds into the season do Jack Miller and Pecco switch so that Pecco gets the new bike?
Like, the VIN number with the rating plate that they're going to snap on that thing at the beginning of the season is whatever they say it is.
No,
so
it's
sure,
not.
Jack, you've got a GP19. Totally. Just ask Michele Pirro. He'll confirm. Don't look at Pecco.
There are visual differences, though.
Pay no attention to the winking man. Yeah, like Jack Miller knows the visual differences of the
We will.
Shut the fuck up.
Half the BrotoGP army is going to notice the visual differences on the frame and the swing arm. If Jack Miller doesn't get like all the fancy swing arms and shit, everyone will know. And he'll be pissed. His manager will find out. Maybe Jack won't.
A pissed off Australian? I refuse to believe that.
Oh man, what else do we got to talk about? No, let's.
First of all, yes, he has a contract, but just ask Lionel Hutz in season 8, episode 9, Halloween Horrors. What is a contract? Webster's Dictionary defines a contract as a verbal agreement that cannot be broken. That cannot be broken. There's my Simpsons seasons 3 through 9 reference for the episode.
Oh, the Lowe's brothers know about broken contracts, or at least one of them. I don't remember which one.
Right.
Who I think Joe Roberts actually has more points in Moto 2 than Alex Lowe's, or is it Sam? Sam Lowe's.
Right.
Yeah. Never mind. All right, moving on. Way to go, Joe Roberts, for scoring points in
Alex Lowe's, Sam Lowe's, nobody knows. Where's my hose?
Oh man, and I'm
those muscle relaxers are kicking in, son.
Yeah, they are. I'm totally wrong. Joe Roberts does not have more points. That's just wishful thinking.
That's based on true events. That's based on true events.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Let's talk about Suzuki. So we've been kind of complaining about how there's the top 5 essentially is lacking performance at the moment. It's Dovizioso is the only one to battle Marc Marquez. I don't think we're of the opinion that Suzuki and Alex Rins can field a bike next year to battle Marquez for the championship, but things are looking better. I'm like, are we saying there's a chance?
The question almost is, I mean, we talked about this last time, is the Suzuki better than the Yamaha? Because right now, I'll tell you right now, Alex Rins and Andrea Iannone are not better than Maverick Vinales and Valentino Rossi, and yet they certainly look better. It's an interesting question is, without concessions right now, is that Suzuki actually better than the Yamaha?
Well, and we always like bitch and complain that Suzuki doesn't put enough development into their bikes. They're gonna pull out after 3 years. So we can't have our cake and eat it too. Like we can't complain that they don't put in the effort, but then say that concessions are allowing them to run at the front.
Oh, I actually didn't mean it that way.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, last year they didn't do very well because they couldn't make an adjustment. They chose the wrong engine, is what we were kind of told and heard, and they couldn't work around it. But this year they're putting in the work and doing well. I don't really say this version of Suzuki is the they don't try version.
It seems like not. It seems like they're actually trying harder. I mean, they had Sylvain Gintoli actually at this race, and he's just a test rider, and it's Sylvain Gintoli.
Right.
He got 21st, which I'm pretty sure that was last in this race. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Ooh.
But he's a test rider.
He's a test rider. He's just there. Yeah. He's just there to gather information.
They did the announcers.
He's there to reconnoiter. That's my word of the day. That's my word of the episode. We're bringing a new segment. Is word of the episode. Word of the episode today is reconnoiter.
He actually commented that he was supposedly riding the 2019 Suzuki prototype, and apparently he commented that he couldn't find a fault in it, that it had fixed a lot of the issues from the 2018 model and was better to ride. His results
sounds like Rob.
Yeah.
Can't find a fault in it. Good to ride. All right.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna reserve my opinion on whether the Suzuki is better than Yamaha right now until after Yamaha fixes their problem.
Wait, but that's like...
That doesn't make any sense.
No, you can't do that.
I'm going to decide whether the Patriots are better than the Bills until after one of them wins the Super Bowl. No shit. Way to go out on a limb. Way to go out on a limb and really think about the pros and the cons and the ideas and the history and the context and make a stone cold concrete decision. I'm going to wait until later when someone gives me something so I don't have to go out on a limb.
I mean, I just think not to take away from their development, which I've seen, but I mean the Yamaha.
Whose development?
Suzuki.
Oh, okay.
But the Yamaha just so far back. Like I think we've talked about this before, where the results are complemented by the fact that Yamaha's not there.
Right. Where's Yamaha's concessions next year?
They have far too many podium finishes to gain concessions next year. Actually, I have not seen that written into the rulebook. I should probably go back and read it. Is if say Yamaha got 0 podiums next year, would they gain concessions the following year? I think fair is fair. They should. They must. But I'm not sure if that's written into the rulebook.
But I thought that Suzuki got it because they were gone for so long.
They got exactly.
So Yamaha has to leave.
Well, they not only were they gone for so long, but when they came back, they also did not do well. Right? They had the one podium the one win with Maverick and a few podiums, but it wasn't a championship fighting season. No, I mean, and if like the thing that I have to bring up though for talking about whether or not the Suzuki is the third best bike on the grid is the fact that what you already brought up, Kev, that Valentino Rossi is third in the championship and Maverick is right behind him. Like, how far back? Rins is in ninth.
No one cares. If you're not first afterwards, it just matters whether you won races or not. Who has had a more successful season this season? Valentino Rossi or Jorge Lorenzo? I would say Jorge Lorenzo, hands down. No question, can't even compare. Yet, Valentino Rossi's far ahead of him in the championship hunt.
Yeah, 55 points.
Right.
And,
that doesn't...
and no one's going to remember that Rossi got third in the championship or second.
First, you're last.
Yeah. I mean, we'll probably talk about it next year because this may be a season where Valentino Rossi doesn't win on a Yamaha.
Yeah, I mean, if Valentino Rossi doesn't win on a Yamaha, just remember what Colonel Sanders said. I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
Oh, that's terrible. All right. No,
that's actually a movie reference.
Yeah, I don't remember what movie.
Yeah, well,
I thought it was like Family Guy or something, but it wasn't. God damn it.
God damn.
Okay, let's move on to what everyone wants to hear us talk about. The 7 steps to the retro game, which just makes me I can't even. What do we got with this? All right, Kev is showing off the original Brotendo design, which everyone's going to call us out for me using the word original. Obviously, it's original artwork.
Everyone can shut the fuck up. Because let me get one thing straight right now. Marc Marquez never played a game of Excite Bike or Road Rash in his fucking stupid ass 24-year-old life. That game was 15 years old before he was born. So eat shit and die. Retro is cool if you remember the retro. Right? Like
hipsters would disagree.
Hipsters might disagree, but hipsters can suck my Warby Parker glasses wearing dick, okay? I'm in the trenches with hipsters, son. I got my distressed Superman shirt underneath my old flannel from Goodwill with my Warby Parker sunglasses and my undercut and my shitty finger tattoo. Fuck all of y'all. I know hipsters better than know themselves, and they don't know shit balls about Excite Bike. Marc Marquez did not go back to Excite Bike and design his own tracks like you did with Excite Bike back in the day. He didn't play Road Rash 1. He didn't play Road Rash 2. He certainly didn't play either of those games on the Neo Geo. If you don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, you don't know shit.
It's a console, Rob. It's a console.
No, I know it's a console. Wow.
What?
Wow,
Yeah.
you said Neo Geo.
Yeah, Neo Geo.
Neo Dog, the original 32-bit masterpiece that had fucking Alien versus Predator, the original game. That was the shit. But we're talking about way before that. We're talking about Excite Bike, okay? We are so ahead of the curve. These assholes are going to fucking... They're straight going to copyright us because 7 years ago, me and Rob thought, let's throw 7 steps on this bad boy. And then what does he do? When did they contract out that arcade cabinet, get that shit shipped to Japan, ready to go, piped in for the feed? That stuff was cool in 2004 and 3 when Rossi was doing it, when excess was the zeitgeist of the current situation. But now...
That's your word of the podcast, by the way.
No, reconnoiter is my word of the podcast.
Zeitgeist.
The zeitgeist. In the early aughts, the zeitgeist absolutely was excess for the sake of excess. We're talking dubs. We're talking new metal. No,
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Drop D tuning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, right? We're talking about Pimp My Ride. Excess was the name of the game, and Valentino was tapped into it. That's why he doesn't do that shit anymore. That's why no one does, because now the excess just looks pitiful and like way too much, hey, pay attention to me. In 2018 is the fucking generation of the millennials. As my friend told me once, all millennials practice self-efficacy because the fucking world is terrible and super unequal. So the fact that you spent like $25,000 to build a giant mock-up that they didn't show anyone assembling, which clearly was trucked out with like a forklift and assembled and dropped in and hooked up to power and hooked up to the monitors direct to the feed so they could pipe that shit in through and act like it was no big deal. That shit was so old. It's like going back and listening to No Limit Soldiers and like Master P. This shit ain't balling, and it never really was.
The thing that gets me too
with this giant thing is like someone buying a murdered out Escalade in 2018 and thinking that shit's cool when you realize that shit is so massively played out it's not even funny anymore.
The excess isn't what gets me. It's the fact that there's so much effort that went into that it doesn't even seem authentic anymore, right? Like you said, they probably paid the people that made that more money than they offered for that social media position earlier this season, right? Tens of thousands of dollars to get all that shit assembled, to get the whole production going. I bet you there were fans on 3 sides of it behind like green barriers. I bet you they sold tickets to stand there. It was
as legitimate as the fans who run out in front of Katy Perry and Coldplay at the Super Bowl halftime show and are dancing around with their hands in the air while the fucking drone flies over and shows them. It was the most non-authentic thing you'd ever seen.
Wait, so you think all those fans there were just like they were stage performers?
Yes,
alongside the barrier.
Yeah,
We call
exactly.
them plants, Rob.
Yeah, the only thing that was legit about that entire celebration was Scott Redding accidentally dislocating his shoulder and then Mark falling on the ground and needing his crew to pop his shoulder back into place live on TV. You saw one moment of genuineness in the entire fucking race day coverage, and Microsoft account problem needs to be fixed. Look at that. I'm not even fucking joking right now. Right as I'm talking shit about Marquez, Microsoft account project needs to be fixed. Likely password. I need to turn my computer off and restart it.
No, you don't.
Right now.
You got map date. You got map date all the way through.
They're on my webcam. They're on my webcam right now. I'm pulling my dick out so fucking Carmelo Espinosa can see that shit.
No, it has to go on YouTube.
Rob, push the map date. Push the map date, Rob.
I can delete him off the feed. Oh,
I'm back on the feed.
Just fix
but
it.
I mean, it's like Rob said. Look, I like retro stuff. His jersey, and the problem was it was like they posted the picture on MotoGP.com. They changed their cover picture to like a filtered picture of Marquez holding a thing, and it was like the worst like free app download 8-bit filter that didn't actually pixelate anything. It still made it like 64-bit. It was like Super Nintendo, or it was like how Nintendo 64 was just kind of blurry. That's what it was. It wasn't like 19 pixels making up Marquez's face. It was like, we can't even commit that hard. We have to make sure you still know that he's a young, good-looking, handsome fellow, and you should root for him.
They can't force feed me Marquez and actually get me to enjoy it. Like without the authentic nature of these celebrations, without it actually feeling like he's not the T1000 that is fully supported by the massive Japanese corporation Honda, it's not going to work for me. And I feel like a bunch of people are like, everyone's there. We have a lot of fans that agree with me. And it's not a good look for him.
There's only one way the cat could have got gnarly retro street cred was if he just wore a retro BrotoGP sold out shirt that you can't even get anymore.
Don't you still have some women's smalls?
I do. Yes, exactly. Right. Then it would have been dope.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, that's what we're saying, right? You just posed an authentic solution to this problem. Right. That's what I want to see out of him.
So let me put the two of you on the spot real quick. Name me the last or your favorite genuine celebration.
Oh God!
Here's the thing: none of the celebrations were genuine. Like,
hey, wait, no, I got one. Jorge Lorenzo jumping into that pond.
Yes, that was actually pretty legit. Yeah. I thought you meant like a staged thing. Like he ran out and jumped in and nearly killed himself. I think Jack Miller with the shoey pouring the fucking drinking out of it was genuine as fuck. I think there's lots of them. I think Cal screaming "Don't doubt me" and all its hilariously salty Cal was genuine.
I liked Pecco's like fuck yeah excitement when his teammate told him that he got second.
Right, exactly. Like in 2018, just the mood of the world and the mood of what we consider genuine and real entertaining has changed. There's a reason why when you go back and watch movies and listen to music from like 2003 and 4, it's actually like super shitty. Like it doesn't have any staying power whatsoever. It's why the 80s and the 90s are in vogue right now, but that time isn't, because at that time was super kind of soulless. And Valentino was the first
like the way
guy.
The 1098 is soulless because it's only a copy of the 996.
Exactly, and there's a reason why Valentino got. Oh, right, exactly. And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to our Pair Turbo Launch episode that discusses such matters.
I saw there's like an M900E or MH900E for sale on Craigslist right now. By the way.
All right, I'm on it.
I'm on it. Get it for me, Dennis.
I think they were like the tens of thousands of dollars for it.
And it's like the retro thing is already played out. This shirt is 2 years old in terms of the design, and we're not like we had a different shirt now that went farther. Like he's always like 1 year late to it. You know what I mean? And
the next shirt is gonna have hints of retro, but we're still modernizing the design. Like
Ooh,
it's
the
not gonna be.
next shirt.
Evolution, yeah.
It's not
Ooh,
gonna be full retro. We
the
can't
next.
go. Yeah. Oh.
I mean,
No, I'm just teasing everyone. Stop it. Stop it.
Hey, something has to pay for the damage. Not
if he had just the jersey, cool. If he had like a shirt that showed himself in 8-bit or 16-bit or Neo Geo amazing 32-bit perfection, cool. But it was like when he jumped up onto the arcade and started playing it, and they switched the feed to the back end to show him, and it was like WWE shit. That was like so stage performed. It like some people told me like MotoGP jumped the shark with that a little bit. Like it was so manufactured. It was so overly manufactured to appear genuine that it just was like, it fell so flat to me. If he had just thrown on a cool shirt, if he had a dope helmet that had that, if he, who knows? There's a million things he could have done that were a little more subdued but celebratory. People would have liked it, but it was so over the top and so manufactured. Like the biggest, no one ever criticizes his riding style or his amazing ability or his entertainment on track. The biggest criticism of him is that he feels manufactured. And so what he did to celebrate the title was the most manufactured thing you could possibly do.
I love how you literally just said
it was the only thing that could have been more manufactured was Colin Edwards' response on Twitter to the controversy. That's my one message. That's my one reference. Rob said he can't mention me now. It's already been said.
Kev, I'm gonna blame the muscle relaxers for you saying no one ever criticizes Marquez's on-track riding.
Sorry, I mean his like talents. I don't mean his danger and the fact that he gets away with stuff. All of that, yes. Although it seems to be toned down a little bit. I'm talking about like no one can criticize that he's not the best guy on the field right now.
Yeah, no, agreed.
No one really does.
So question here: if Marquez listens to this podcast. And
he clearly does. He clearly does.
If he takes what we're saying to heart and tries to become more genuine next year and actually succeeds in it, how long is it going to take us to switch sides effectively?
Define more genuine.
God damn it. I mean, it's all based on your opinion, right? If you actually believe that he is genuinely excited, that he doesn't have HRC spending $30,000 in celebrations behind him, completely making that up. If he's accomplishing what we want to see out of him, like, are we going to hold this against him, or are we going to actually kind of like root for those celebrations?
If he gets up and wins a race in Misano next year and they boo and his response is whoever boos your mom's a hoe, I'll fucking get behind him fully. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's what we needed out of you. And actually, I think Marquez, I hope you're listening. Do it. You will get so many fans.
Throwback would be to have thrown back Chappelle Show circa 2003. He should have had like Tyrone Biggums come out like Marquez, like itching. Y'all got any more of those championship titles? Y'all got any more of them titles? And then he hands him a title and he's like, ooh, and then he just rubbed it all over his gums and like sniffed it. Then that would have been cool. If he brings out Tyrone Biggums and they smoke a crack rock at Motegi, on the track, live in front of everyone. If it turns out Marquez has a black tar heroin problem, I'm in. I'm done. I'm on the train.
And Dorna, you were only offering $25,000 for those ideas. God damn it! And here we are giving them away for free. Terrible.
For free, dog. Getting sued and blocked and fucking copyright claimed and shit.
Oh man, no. Let's discuss the shoulder a little bit before we bounce off of Marquez. So if I'm sure everyone finally
bounce off, dislocated shoulder bounces, son.
Yeah, how the hell did Scott Redding do this? Like, I didn't even notice him aggressively like pat Marquez on the back.
He just like, it's the thing about dislocating your shoulder is the socket never really recovers. I have a friend that has this problem, a jiu-jitsu friend who is very talented.
Yeah.
shot a double on a guy. The other guy shot. He hit his hand in exactly the right spot, and he had just enough tension that he popped his shoulder out. And he's
straight out of the socket.
Yeah, he's popped his shoulder out in his sleep, dog. Straight up. And he's like a young guy.
Did he get surgery to repair it?
Yes, he did. It's never the same.
Still.
It's just the right angle, and boom, it's out. Now, the key is that it is like, here's the telling portion. This goes back to what I said about whether, like, the only person that can beat him at this point is himself or a well-timed slap on the back. Because he knew his shoulder. Like, think about this, Dennis. Dennis looks at me and his shoulder's dislocated. We are on the way to the hospital, son, with the amber lamps. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he has a fucking dislocated shoulder. Marquez is like, hey, it's popped out again. It's popped out again. And then, like, his friend just, like, stuck his fucking foot in his shoulder, in his armpit, was like, clank, you good, son. Like, that's how used to his shoulder popping out that he is. Like, once it's popped out a number of times, it's just part of the weakness of the socket. It loosens out, it pops back in.
I mean, I think the last time we talked about his shoulder popping out, I told everyone that Fabian from Riders Law has dislocated his shoulder in a crash, and he ended up waiting like 6 to 9 hours to get it popped back in because the people in the ambulance didn't want to do it. The track where he was at was 2 hours away from a hospital. Of course, they triaged him and they didn't see him for a couple of hours because he wasn't dying. Right. So it took forever for them to get it back in. And then he wakes up the next morning and he's like, how the fuck does Marquez race after, like, the next day after doing this sort of thing? I'm like, well, yeah, you waited 9 hours to get it back in. He gets it back in under 5 minutes by some of the best doctors on the planet. Like, that's one of the major differences. But I mean, like, I have to wonder if he had done that at the start of the race, would he have been able to finish the race?
No, absolutely not. He would not have been. Didn't you see the episode of The Simpsons where Lisa babysits Bart for once and he gets his arm dislocated and he's just wagging it around?
No, I thought that was his. I thought he broke his forearm.
It was his elbow. He dislocated his elbow. Well, it's the same idea, right? Like, unless you get it put back in place, it's no longer. There's no strength. There's no structure to it at all. It just, all his crashes are clean low sides because his crashes aren't on the gas, they're on the brake. So he low sides in. It doesn't pop out. It's a matter of, does it pop? I mean, what's interesting to me is that he dislocated his shoulder on Sunday and he has to be on the track riding on Friday morning.
You think it's, yeah, but he's dislocated them on Saturday and still raced on Sunday.
Yeah, so it's just every time you do it, it's a little easier the next time. It's just it's like a snowball effect.
I'm gonna knock on wood real quick here because I've never dislocated my shoulder. Is it painful?
I dislocated my thumb when I was a kid, and now I can do. Hold on,
funny things with it.
I can actually pop it out of place. Is it doing?
It just looks like you're moving your thumb. Also, the muscle relaxers are helping. This is not a valid test.
Okay. I can't actually dislocate my thumb. I did it once when I was handcuffed by some police officers who claimed I had illicit substances in my car. I dislocated my thumb, pulled my hands out of the handcuffs, and then sat in the front like this. Like I was like, oh, hey. And it was hanging off of my hand because I had popped my thumb out and got it out. They didn't appreciate that. That being said, I have dislocated a couple of things. Some hurt, some didn't. I don't know, but a shoulder's a major joint. I have to think that it don't feel all that good. But based on his reaction time, them getting it back in, and ability to do a press conference afterward, and the fact that night he was running around being picked up by Scott Redding and running up and down the streets in Japan makes me think that his particular version isn't all that painful.
I've seen 2 dislocated elbows at the rock climbing gym because people don't know how to fall and they like catch themselves with their arms with their elbows locked. Terrible idea.
You have a crash pad.
Yeah.
On the back. It's all good.
Exactly. And those 2 people screamed bloody murder and, cried for their mommies to take them to urgent care. And it was not pleasant to watch them do that. But I don't know. But they're also not motorcycle racers.
Dislocate my shoulder than my elbow. If it was making like a Sophie's choice right now, I'll take the shoulder over the elbow any day of the week. The elbow is nasty too. Like the shoulder, just like your arm doesn't look like it's in the right spot. When you just look at your shoulder, you saw multiple people do it. It looks fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah. All right. I think we talked about Marquez quite enough for this one. We're gonna make this a short episode. We got two
Rob
things
says that
left
every
here.
single time.
We're only at an hour right now. We're at
What?
59 minutes.
There
Yeah.
There we go.
Time is flying on muscle relaxers. It's
Boom.
crazy.
Feels like it's been 5 minutes.
All right. So we're actually
I
going to
watched
transition.
Moto 2, but I don't know Fabio pressure fiasco.
Fabio's tire pressure fiasco.
Yeah.
So
what's going on?
Fabio Quartararo won the race, won in quotation marks, and then was subsequently disqualified after the race for too low of tire pressure.
Boom.
Yeah.
Wait, there's spec tire pressures?
Called up his boy Tom
No.
Brady and said, what's the deal?
No, there is not spec tire pressure. There
Okay.
is a minimum tire pressure requirement. The reason why there's a minimum tire pressure requirement is because in the past, teams have gone so low on their tire pressure that they have caused damage to the tires in exchange for some grip. Like you can imagine that if you're a race team or you're a racer, you put the tire pressure lower because it causes better performance and you think, I can make it to the end of the race. This will be fine. Your team does it for you because they want you to win. You want to do it, all that good stuff. You don't make it to the end of the race because you crash on your head. You know, maybe some guys make it to the end of the race and win. Maybe some guys don't. So because it's dangerous for some riders, they've instituted a minimum tire pressure regulation.
Right.
So apparently Fabio Quartararo was 0.3 psi or 0.02 bar below the regulation. The regulation is 1.4 bar, and he was 1.38 bar, which is 0.3 psi too low. So for me, this is just like I don't know. Here, I'll show people the regulation. I found it. In Moto 2, it is
I love that
mandatory.
he says he found it so nonchalantly, like he didn't fucking jizz in his pants at the idea that he would have to go find an obscure rule in a rule book to explain.
No, I totally did. No, it was great.
Right.
No, so a few things here. So Moto 2's tire pressure monitoring systems are allowed in all classes, right? So they're allowed to use them. In Moto 2, it is mandatory to log the rear tire pressure. But because these exist, it now makes it very easy for race direction because they can look over the data in your data logger at any time. It makes it very easy for race direction to actually check your tire pressure pretty much at any time. So there was one thing that I was wondering when all this stuff came out is when does race direction check the tire pressure? Because I mean, Dennis, both of you two have raced motorcycles before. Kev, I don't know if you ever used tire warmers. You probably did, but the pressure of your tires
I owned some tire warmers. The shit was dope.
Yeah, the pressure of your tires is dependent on the temperature in which they're at.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
yeah, so the regulation, it doesn't explicitly say like, hey, you have to have your tire pressure at 1.4 bar at 100 degrees Celsius or like 180 Fahrenheit or something, but it's probably something close to that. By the way, that was not the actual conversion, more like 80 Celsius. But it's very likely that Dunlop has stated that for all the teams that this is the pressure, the minimum pressure at this specific temperature. Because they have data loggers or because they have TPMS and they have data loggers attached to them for the bikes, it is very likely to see that the Dunlop can just check, all right, the tire was at 180 Fahrenheit here. The tire pressure was 0.3 psi too low. You're disqualified. And the thing is, like,
TQ.
I can feel half a psi in either one of the tires on the racetrack. It is not unfathomable for me to think.
Hey, if you were to hold on real quick, you can feel a psi. Say
half one.
psi phonetically, like the sounds of the letters straight.
You mean psi? What? You mean psi?
No.
You mean
Hold on.
psi? What?
Pussy. Oh.
What are you trying to do?
Pussy.
Oh, there we go. Fuck, you are so Dennis got it. Was laughing.
I'm just waiting for Rob to grow.
Rob can feel half a pussy. What up?
Why would you half? Ugh.
Right.
That's
What
what
are
you
you
were just
sharing?
talking about.
That's as
What are
far
you
in as
sharing?
you can go. Oh! What? Did he just say that? I'll drop my own mic right now. Fuck.
That's bad. That's really bad. That's real bad.
Yeah,
No, I'm trying to
Anyways.
get back on topic here. Topic.
Yeah.
No, so anyone that
the muscle relaxers just make things more clear, right? Like the world, the universe, it's all clear. PSI is just an acronym for pussy.
Too much pressure, Kev. Too much
Right.
pressure. No, so the so half a PSI is a reasonable amount, right? Like a few of our fans, a few people are commenting on social media that 0.3 PSI is not it's not something crazy, right? To be under the limit. But I disagree. I think that 0.3 PSI is well beyond what should be expected for like the team screwing it up. If they were like, I have a tire pressure gauge. Most everyone that races motorcycles likely has a digital tire pressure gauge where they can read a 0.1 PSI difference. Or maybe they have a shitty tire pressure gauge and it only goes 0.2 PSI. But this was 0.3. This is a Moto 2 team. They probably have many $500 tire pressure gauges. They check this stuff all the time. There was no reason why they should be below the limit. There likely is no tolerance for that rule.
Have they
That's
released
what I'm
it?
saying. There really shouldn't be. I mean, a rule is a rule, and at some point you have to draw a hard limit. If you were to have a grace limit, they would, just like fighters in combat sports with weight limits, right? For non-championship fights, you have a 1 pound allowance. They always come in exactly 1 pound over. If there was a 0.5 bar or whatever the fuck numbers we're talking about, grace period,
Yeah.
they would just come within the minimum of the grace period. A grace
Exactly.
period instinctively and inherently means a just extension of the rule. So if you're going to have a rule for how much you can have, anything lower is breaking the rules. Because if you can say that you need to have 7, whatever the fucking number is, you need to have 10 bars and you have a 1 bar grace limit, that means 11 bars is the rule.
Or
right? Like that's
9.
what it means. Or 9 or whatever the number is, right? And so, I mean, I just picked random numbers. I can't believe I was even that close. I literally just picked a round number. But so any amount, and I love Fabio. Again, I've said this. He's distractingly and confusingly handsome to me.
In what way? Why confusingly handsome,
Don't
Kev?
say that, man. It's just not, things aren't as binary as people like them to think. You know
I
what
don't
mean?
think they're binary. I'm surprised you're confused because I know they're not binary.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I'm just confused because I never thought there was a man more handsome than you out there until I saw Fabio in the fucking in the pale moonlight. That's a Batman reference. So, but any amount under a limit or whatever or beyond is if there's a grace period or there's an allowance, that's just an extension of the rule. I mean, if you have an amp that goes up to 11 and your Spinal Tap, you just go to 11.
You never put it at 10.
Right.
No, I mean, and there are other rules like this, right? There are weight regulations for the classes. I mean, especially with Moto 2, it's combined rider and machine. The riders lose weight throughout the race because they're exhaling, they're sweating, and water is evaporating. So it's likely that the team never can get all that close because if they risk it too much, they're going to be a kilo under.
Right.
So it's likely when the rider goes out, if the bike was actually empty, the rider goes out half a kilo heavy, and plus whatever they think the rider will lose for the race, plus all the fuel. Right? The same thing here. It's likely that all the other front runners, everyone else that got their tire pressure checked, they went out at 1.42 bar or 1.41. Something just a little bit higher so that if something went wrong, maybe their temperature was a little too high, the tire loses a tiny bit of air during the race, something crazy goes wrong, they don't fall foul to the rules. That's just how
Example,
it works.
like if I have to cut weight for a tournament, I know that in general at any given night, I lose about 1.7 pounds in my sleep. I know that as just a schlep who has a scale who knows he needs to make a certain weight. And I weigh myself before and after and at the same time of day in the same spot, yada, yada, yada. You can know, like I know that amount that I lose in my sleep. It's about 1.7 pounds. I have people that lose like 3 pounds in their sleep because they sweat or they have fast metabolisms or whatever.
They breathe a lot. They breathe a lot.
Exactly. Rob, can you explain to us why breathing makes you lose weight?
Because you're exhaling moisture.
Boom.
And you're exhaling all the carbon dioxide that is the consequence of you metabolizing anything.
I love it. You're such a fucking hot nerd. It's just
I
hot
love it.
nonsense.
I'm gonna exhale the shit out of this dad bod from here on out.
Exactly. Rob's got
That's
me
what you got to do.
waiting
That's
to
why.
exhale.
Oh my god, I can't believe Dennis just did that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. No, and
you
you're
know
not.
how
You're
much you lose, and anyone of any consequence would understand basic ideas of tire pressure variances over the course of a race.
you're not a multi-million-dollar Moto 2 team that is paid to get this shit done correctly. We've talked about this before. Like many other times there was an incident last year where the Moto 2 teams just straight up didn't know the quick start procedure. And they fucked it up, right? This is another instance when someone breaks these rules, it's because someone screwed up. They ran afoul to the we should be disciplined. We don't need an allowance here.
Foul of an Irishman.
Who does?
You just said a foul, and the only other time I've ever heard that word used is when Itchy ran afoul of an Irishman, the original Itchy cartoon.
The original one.
You speak with Dennis about this. I have to go get my charger and plug this computer in because it's going to die.
And because Microsoft is coming after you.
Because Microsoft is coming for me.
We're going to close it on out while Kevin's gone. No, he didn't sit back down. He didn't hear that one. I don't know. I mean, Dennis, I feel like you're thinking about racing motorcycles again. Are you going to set your tire pressure 0.3 PSI too low?
First of all, not again, because I've never raced ever.
No, you're thinking about it again.
Oh, thinking about it again. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of like as a long-term goal for the R&D segment, you know. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be you teaching a track day hero, but what if we can turn the track day hero
plug.
to amateur racer? Yeah.
That'd be great. He just told me about this today. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just, I don't know what else to say about it. He got disqualified. Pecco gained another point on
the only real thing to say about it is even with a disqualification, a Spaniard still hasn't won a Moto2 race.
And on that one, I think we're good on that topic.
I mean, a lot of people ask me, they always want me to talk about, they want this episode, what's the future of Americans in GP and shit like that. And I'm like, none, because there's not even any Spanish future in GP right now. And look at how much fucking effort they put into it. The Italians are just taking over. You think Americans on our fucking dirt track and motocross backyard fields and having to drive 10,000 miles a year to race 6 rounds is going to get into the GP? The fucking Spanish can't even win a Moto2 race right now.
Wow, you're going depressing again. Hey, I've got an idea. Speaking of helping Americans in motorcycle racing, so here's what I'm gonna do, and I feel like we're gonna have to like Patreon this or something, and it'll have to be a lot of Patreon. I'm gonna build a kart track in Northern County, San Diego. I'm going to start a kids youth racing team and get like one of the mini moto manufacturers to provide motorcycles for them. Then I'm going to hire some coaches or get them to volunteer their time. Mm-hmm. And we are going to train all the child talent that we need to take over MotoGP once again.
Robert Durden was building an army.
Do you think, I mean, I feel like that's what we need. I feel like we just need like 7 of those around the country in order for that to happen successfully.
It's a pretty big tangent, but I really think that the only real way to do it is like a benevolent dictator sort of thing. Like you have to do what Valentino did. You have to effectively just run an entire system top to bottom to bring it up. The talent level is so high. The commitment level is so high early on. It has to be a level of with the design of getting them to GP.
Well, and Valentino started it from the top down, but
Right.
It likely worked well because the Italian Federation has already built the bottom, right? Mm-hmm. Italy already has what I've talked about. They already have little kids running circles and figure eights on mini bikes and learning how to ride minis from 3 years old, right? The United States, and then moving directly into mini road racing and continuing that with road racing. We have some of those programs for dirt, which is why Americans are pretty damn good at supercross and motocross, but we don't have those programs for road racing. And I feel like if Valentino Rossi tried to build it from the top down without the base already built, it wouldn't have worked so quickly. sure it still would have worked because he would have just built the damn kart track too.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, no, I don't disagree. Like, I think both sides need to happen for American road racing to return to previous levels, because the talent is so high.
And you can't have tire pressure that's too low, because then even if you're American or you're French, you'll get bounced you'll get DQ'd.
You'll get
Actually, on that note, even if the American road racing is successful in coming back, is it going to be the same glory because the talent level around the world has gone up? I mean, could we still have an American domination on the world stage?
No, because the everything that I've even said this, right? Like, the best American road racer right now is racing motocross at some track. We need to get the motocross kids to make the switch. But the problem is the skill set that translates right now. And Rob has talked about this on the Army page. Like, what did you say the other day, Rob, about what's more impressive, riding 90% knowing the bike could kill you, or being able to ride 99% the entire time?
Yeah.
The skill set that is cultivated, that you need to cultivate for it, isn't part of our base at all. You know, the glory days of when America did well in GP, and when America was doing well in Superbike, when AMA was the pinnacle, when Nicky Hayden made the switch to MotoGP, was when a rear tire oriented sliding ability to tame the beast, so to speak, skill set was rewarded. But it's the other way now. I mean, Marc Marquez has basically flipped the entire script. And even though they want to talk about his dirt track background, it's the ability to push the front end to an unbelievable degree.
And I mean, Dennis, if we want to see that sort of domination again, it would take a lot of time, right? Like, we'd have to have the numbers. Because that was one thing that was backing the United States back then in that domination, was we had a lot of guys that were riding really, really well, coming from dirt track, moving to road racing. We had AMA building up those numbers as a premier series, right? We don't have those numbers anymore. Like, participation in Moto America is up, and it's getting bigger, but it's also up in, like, you know, the Twins class and Stock 1000. Like, it's not up in Superbike. Right. So we're getting more numbers, but they're not talented numbers. Right. So maybe if you have an American invasion into GP, kind of like we had that spree of so many British racers in MotoGP, and they were successful, then you could have sort of a dominance. But what are we even going to be racing internal combustion motorcycles by the time that happens? We don't have the base. We don't have we don't have the kid. The kids aren't getting trained. There might be one of them. There might be a Marquez
and
out there.
And the money is just not there. Like, the money for these parents, it's less expensive and a higher reward ratio to go race motocross.
Or to go play football or soccer.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. I meant soccer for both of them.
Foosball is the fucking devil.
Okay, that was a tangent. We got one more little segment here before we round this one out. So I think we got 2 bro awards for this round. Kev, do you want to take the first one?
Bro awards? What is it? Hold on, let me check the syllabus on my iPhone.
We have 2 bro awards.
I forget who they are.
BrotoGP awards. It's
no, it's not because the muscle relaxers, Rob. You be quiet.
Take the first one off for us.
I made it through this whole episode, man. My fucking neck isn't even that bad anymore. It's all good. That shit works. Science.
We're your muscle relaxers, Kevin.
Exactly. Your voice
is
that
my
voice. Muscle relaxer.
He leans in close to the mic for those ones.
Dennis, why don't you go ahead and do a nice little Dennis-y voice introduction for BrotoGP Awards for Best Hair of this round?
Oh, it's always going to be the undercut, first of all.
No. Like, well, this is BrotoGP, and we are presenting the haircut. Best award for haircut. I don't know. Fuck it. Scott Redding. You see this?
Presented by Head and Shoulders.
You see it presented by Head and Shoulders. You see this dude's hair? He got a weave in Thailand that was purple, and he still had it. In fact, he still had it until just like an hour ago when he took it out. We have that picture. Rob, play the clip.
It's been floating around. They've seen it.
The guy had like predator dreadlocks weaved into his head, dyed purple with a weird like 14-year-old stash, like the kind of hair that's not thick enough to actually be a stash, but you just let it grow really long. So it's like weirdly thin stash and like curling over your lip because it has no substance. And he's got purple weaved in braided dreadlocks. It's fucking amazing. And he's obsessed with the word babby now, and everything he says is babby.
What the hell
love
does that
Scott
word
Redding.
mean?
He's
What does it
the
mean?
man. What doesn't it mean, Rob? What doesn't it mean?
That's a good point, Kev. What doesn't it mean? No,
What
yeah,
doesn't it
the
mean?
championship will be lacking a little bit next year when he's riding a Ducati in British Superbike.
You think?
With
Right.
Paul, yeah, it's gonna be. I don't know.
Ah.
I don't know. I mean, I got to see his hair like floating at the back of a helmet. That really got me close to home on that one because that's all
Right.
I ever do on a motorcycle.
Right.
And you know, if Scott Redding calls me up and he'd like to work with me to put a sponsorship together with Head and Shoulders, I'm down. Call me up, Scott.
Yeah,
We'll make it happen.
He gets hit a lot with requests to be on our show. And I think it's bugging the shit out of him.
Probably. We should probably make it more official and not just send our fans to like verbally assault him on his social media.
Right.
All right. Our last award for the Motegi round goes out to Nakasuga for outscoring Tom Luthi and Xavier Simeon for being a test rider, albeit one with a podium in MotoGP, and for just showing once again that there are some guys that shouldn't be in MotoGP, and also that being a test rider is actually kind of a sweet gig. Like
I think he's done more laps on a GP bike at Motegi than those two guys. Anyway,
for sure at Motegi.
yeah.
I wonder. You're right. He probably has more laps on a GP bike in total than probably Xavier or than Simeon and Tom Luthi combined. First of all, like
Right.
how many more riders do we want to drag into this? Like Torres for sure, Gintoli, yeah. Oh, Christophe Ponson, that was our Frenchman.
That was his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loris Baz. Yeah, maybe not Loris. Mika Kallio, no, probably not. Carl, no. Yeah, at least the bottom 6 guys in the championship. He's more laps on GP bike than the other ones. Yeah, so essentially Nakasuga gets rewarded for almost every year for winning the Japanese Superbike Championship with a test riding role both at Motegi and usually at Valencia as well. And I don't know if it's going to rain again and we'll see him on the podium, but it could. But yes, that is our final award. This episode is going nice and short because we didn't have all that much to talk about. Any closing thoughts, Dennis?
Yes, the award for most Brostradamus in terms of design goes to myself.
Not to Nintendo for putting 7 steps on the Excite Bike cartridge.
I accept this award on Kevin's behalf. For successfully, it's just kind of weird. Like, down to the 7 steps is super weird. Like, it's
Well,
like...
you
No,
know
let me
why
flip it. Well, maybe we just inadvertently predicted the 2018.
you know why
World
we
Champion.
did 7 steps, right? Do you want me to tell you why? No,
No.
I'm not gonna ruin it. I already said it while you were talking, but you didn't hear
No,
me,
it doesn't
Kev.
matter that we did it. It's that he waited until he had 7 to copy our design. This asshole saw this shirt like 30 months ago. And he was like, that shit is fire, son. But I'm going to keep it because they got 7 steps. And I'm going to wait because 7 rhymes with Kevin. And I'm going to steal Kevin's design for my 7 title with the 7 steps that Kevin came up with. There's a fucking reason he waited so long.
Oh man, that's perfect. All right, I'm closing this one out. Thank you for listening to this episode. Hit up Riders Law if you need legal help, and especially if you're in the state of California. Thank you to Kevin's doctors for helping him make it through this episode. We will be making another shirt design shortly for everyone that is interested. Dennis, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We hopefully, actually, Dennis and I have another R&D.
I do want to thank my doctor because he was like, do you need some muscle relaxers? And I'm like, yeah, can I get like 5 prescriptions worth? Because this shit happens all the time. And he was like, say no more, fam. And he just gave me like 150.
Holy
He's like,
damn.
only take like these for a couple of days, but like, here's 5 years supply.
Wow.
Hey, send me one bottle with my
Right.
bottle of whiskey that you're still
Right.
holding
No,
on to.
no, I
American
think that's
healthcare
like a.
system. If you have cancer, there's nothing we can do for you. But if you need an unnecessary amount of painkillers, we got you.
I don't send Dennis because isn't that like against the law or something? Don't
Well,
do
I don't
that.
see no police. Fuck the law.
All right, I apologize to Writer's Law for that one.
I know.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
if you're watching on YouTube, like this video, give us a thumbs up, please. If you hated it, give us a thumbs down. We love the trolls. We've been getting a few lately. They're hilarious.
Is that Nenad guy still trolling on the YouTube page? I
I
blocked
haven't
him on
looked.
Instagram, Colin Edwards style. I block people that I don't agree with their views.
You're gonna get melandried. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I tend not to respond to the trolls most of the time. Share this video, please. Tell all your friends. Thank you for listening on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all those good things. Shout out to all our fans, especially the one that got me this hat. And we will catch you in like a couple of days with another R&D episode.
Kyle Wyman messaged me while we were recording that it's bullshit that you're wearing a hat. And so he said, send me my address. He's sending me Kyle Wyman swag. So next episode, KWR in the house is all I'm going to talk about. Kyle Wyman 24/7.
Perfect.
Oh, boy.
All right, everyone. Take it easy. Peace. Thanks for listening.
Later.